to uphold them when they are not being tested. They are being tested now. Many of us choose to work at Salesforce because of Salesforce's reputation as a company that stands up against injustice. We agree that the business of business is to improve the state of the world. We want our work at Salesforce to have a positive impact on our friends and neighbors, not to make us complicit in the inhumane treatment of vulnerable people. As members of the Salesforce Ohana, we believe that Salesforce must stand with the families facing irrevocable and unimaginable harm at the hands of CBP. We believe that the moral and ethical emergency that CBP's practices have created and in which we have become complicit compel us as an Ohana and as our CEO to take action by re-examining our contractual relationship with CBP and speaking out against its current practices. We recognize the explicit policy of separating children at the border has been stopped, but that simply returns us to a status quo, detaining children with their parents at the border. We believe it is vital for Salesforce to stand up against both the practices that inspired this letter and any future attempts to merely make this destructive state of affairs more palatable. We believe that we must craft a plan for examining the use of all our products and the extent to which they are being used for harm. We feel this is necessary to make good on our promise of being in the business of improving the world. Dismantling the structures of inequity is every bit as crucial as building foundations of care if those improvements are to last.
All right. Thank you, leader. And with that, I think we're going to march to Amazon.
At Amazon, lady, definitely get on the train.
Where do you guys want to be? Roll Donnie, baby! Straight down. Roll Donnie!
I left this park
Hi everyone, Juliana here for act.tv. We are at the National Abolish ICE Day of Action, one of the actions in New York City, where a group of cohorts have gotten together to both educate the public about the corporate side and the tech side of companies who are making a lot of money because of the deportations and because of the treatment of families. There is a Science for the People contingent here, socialist contingent here, some workers. My understanding is there are some workers from the different companies here protesting what is going on at the border and how ICE is using tech in order to support itself. I have one of the organizers of the event who's here to kind of clear up exactly what's happening here. Can you just make it, I think I've got it, and we totally are with you on the Abolish ICE tip, but can you make it clear on who is here and what we're doing?
Yeah, so this was called by COSECHA, Science for the People, and a bunch of other immigrant rights organizations and organizations who see tech workers.
Can you walk with us?
Sure, yeah.
You can walk, right? You can walk? Can you go up front?
So we're just trying to raise the profile of the tech workers' demand to get their companies to cut their contracts with ICE because of the brutality and the inhumanity at the border. And Amazon and Salesforce and Microsoft are clearly willing to profit off of whatever, even if it means separation of families. And there are workers with a conscience, with a greater conscience than the CEOs. We're calling on those CEOs to cut those contracts, and we're here to raise the profile of their demands.
Have you seen any retribution from the companies toward those workers? Are they afraid to come out? Are they public?
I mean, we're trying to strengthen their backbones by showing them that we support them and we're in solidarity with their demands. I'm sure that there's a chilling effect anytime you're in a workplace and you make a political demand of your boss. Our workplaces are not democracies, and that's part of the problem with letting the people at the top of the company decide who they can make money off of and how. And so, in fact, at the heart of this really is a question of whether or not any of our labor can be used for separating families or otherwise traumatizing people at the border or elsewhere.
Yeah, like a not in my name kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Not in their name, not in our name. We're all American citizens or otherwise, and we have every right to demand that the cops on our border stop tearing families apart.
And the group has marched from starting at Microsoft, stopping here at Salesforce, and now we're off to Amazon.
That's right. Amazon is next.
Has there been any response from any of these companies in any official capacity about this issue and about this ask?
Yeah, I mean, there was an official statement from the CEO of Microsoft a few weeks ago when the workers first presented their demands, their petition, and then more recently he was confronted in person, and he continued. Well, I mean, they're trying to claim to be on the side of justice, but at the end of the day, as long as you have a contract with ICE, you are profiting off of the system that separates these families, and the only way we're going to be able to abolish ICE is to isolate them politically and economically, and that means companies cutting all their contracts with ICE.
Thank you so much. People who want to be involved or get more information, where should they go?
You should check out Science for the People, which is the group I organize with, scienceforthepeople.org, or we just recently relaunched as a magazine, magazine.scienceforthepeople.org.
You know, I'm involved in a group with a lot of old hippies called Science for the People. So there's one already. But it's not tech people, it's, it's different kind of science.
What do you...
We can talk about it later.
No.
I was like, science. It's literally, the original. It's called Science for the People.
Yeah, we're reviving that old organization.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
I love those guys.
A lot of the original people are active in that effort.
I'm on the list where they tell you stuff.
You're on the UVM list?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Me too.
Well, I'll see you on there.
Okay.
Nice talking to you. Thanks a lot. Again, you are watching live coverage of the Abolish ICE National Day of Action here in New York City. We are marching down 6th Avenue. The chant is no hate, no fear, get ICE out of here. And this march is not necessarily directing its focus on ICE itself, but on the companies who profit from ICE. There is a follow the money component to this. Apparently there are workers who work at these different companies who are having feelings of their consciences are bothering them because their business places are profiting from working with ICE. Amazon, Salesforce, and Microsoft are the targets of today's march. And there's a band. You're watching act.tv's live coverage of the Science for the People group at the Abolish ICE National Day of Action. We're in New York City marching down 6th Avenue, which is the middle of Midtown, and there are a lot of people stopping to watch what is going on here. The march started at Microsoft, who has a contract with ICE where they provide tech services to ICE. Then the march went on to Salesforce, another corporation that creates, my understanding is it creates software and whatnot that supports ICE. Now the march is going on to Amazon. We all know what they do. Amazon's been selling facial recognition technology called Recognition with a K. Maybe for KKK. I don't know. To ICE. Again, Amazon has been selling facial recognition technology to ICE. Other things that are happening around us are I've seen some of the same anti-demonstration protesters, ones with Trump hats on, etc., that I've seen at pretty much all of the other DACA-related, immigrant rights-related, and Muslim rights-related protests I've seen in New York City. My camera woman and I are having countless conversations about how they must be paid because it is the same 5 guys with their Trump signs. There is also a news person right behind Rebecca. Maybe she's going to get him in. He comes to all these protests too, and he yells at people, and I just saw a little kid take him to task about what was happening here at the protest. That guy. Well, that's the camera guy. So that was interesting. I enjoy. Yeah, she. Yeah. Oh, she got you. It's on your show? No, I can't. No, I can't do that right now. No. No. Oh, sorry. Thank you. As you can see, there's a band here at the National Abolish ICE Day of Action, and it, I must say, is fabulous. They're asking people not to be complicit, and they're asking tech not to build the kind of technology that is needed for ICE to do the work that it is doing at the border. From speaking to some of the protesters and organizers, the understanding is that this movement is about undermining the economic ability of ICE to do its job. There are workers at these different corporations who are calling on these companies to cancel the contracts, and that these groups are standing with those workers calling on those contracts. You can get involved and sign petitions at scienceforthepeople.org. Again, scienceforthepeople.org. The march is now calling for border walls that have to go. I'm trying to get the chant. Okay. I think the chant is from Palestine to Mexico, all the walls have got to go. We are at the front of the Abolish ICE March here in New York City. You're watching act.tv. If you like this kind of coverage, please like our page. If you can't make it to the street, and if you can't make it to the street, the best you can do is make sure other people know that this is happening. Again, you heard one of the older men who is here marching with this group say that he is concerned about a resurgence of what happened in the 50s, and that he believes that there needs to be marches once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day in cities across the country. And if you can't get out to one of those, one of the things you can do is bring the message of the marches that are happening to people you know who are stuck at their office, possibly stuck at their office at Amazon, possibly stuck at their office at Salesforce. Possibly they don't know that they have contracts with their very office that are supporting the separation of families from their children and inhumane treatment of families at the border. If you already like the act.tv page, and not to keep plugging act.tv, but hey, you're here and we're trying to get this work done. If you already like the act.tv page, make sure you leave a comment. That is how this message basically gets out. Facebook will prioritize and spread this work if you leave a comment. You can just say hi too. Again, you are watching act.tv's live coverage of the Abolish ICE National Day of Action here in New York City. It's hard to pinpoint numbers. I would say there's maybe a couple hundred people marching down the streets today, and this particular march is targeting the fact that there are workers in tech companies who do not want to be working for tech companies that are supporting the separation of families, that are supporting immigration policies that are inhumane and immoral. This particular march may have some of the workers from the companies that are being targeted, which include Microsoft, Amazon, and Salesforce. And it also has groups that are here in solidarity. There's socialist groups. Here we spoke to them earlier. COSECA is here. And Science for the People is here. So let's talk a little bit about Microsoft, where this protest started off. Microsoft has a $19.4 million contract with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. They are making, as we talked about earlier, bank off the separation of children and families. Salesforce, we were right in front of the offices of Salesforce just now with this group. Salesforce provides software and technical services to U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. And this march is marching south on 6th Avenue in New York City to Amazon. Amazon has been selling facial recognition technology to ICE, and they spell it recognition with a K. Recognition. I don't think people should be using K's where there used to be C's unless they're giving a nod to the Klan. That's just me. This is a really interesting protest. We've seen a lot of people protesting specifically against ICE, but this protest again is targeting tech. No tech for ICE. There are signs we're seeing. They're targeting the companies that make money off the separation of children from their families, off the imprisonment, illegal imprisonment of immigrants at the border, of asylum seekers at the border. Again, you're watching act.tv's live coverage. I'm going to read you some of the signs I'm seeing. No more borders, walls, or cages. Down with the empty freedom for all. That is from a group called Direct Action Everywhere. There's a sign calling on Amazon not to be complicit and to abolish ICE. I like this lady with the trombone. She's got "End White Supremacy" on the front of her trombone. To one of the members of the band. After this song, again, you're watching the Abolish ICE National Day of Action. This particular action is focusing on no tech for ICE, basically calling on tech companies who are making money supporting ICE to divest their contracts from ICE. I think it's really very educational for both the workers who might not know this. I mean, Amazon has, I don't know how many workers across the country that might not know about this. So you can do this movement a favor by sharing this and making a comment on it. We are crossing West 35th Street and then going across 6th and 7th Avenue in New York City. We're right in front of Macy's, where the big Macy's parade happens. I hope they put this band in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade next year. As you can see, there's, I would say, a couple hundred, maybe several hundred people marching down the block. It's very hard to estimate a number from this position. The chant of the band is "No hate, no fear, get ICE out of here." And they are. This group specifically is targeting no tech for ICE. Some of the handouts they've been giving, and a lot of people are stopping to get these handouts, talk about how Microsoft has gotten a $19.4 million contract with ICE for making technology that supports ICE's work. That's where this march started. We were just outside the offices of Salesforce, which provides software and tech services to the Customs and Border Patrol, and now we're moving to Amazon, who has the executives of Amazon have basically said they are not going to divest from the support that they give ICE, and they have been selling facial recognition technology to ICE, which is terrifying. The groups involved here are Science for the People, COSECA. There are some socialist organizations involved, and they're working to stand with workers who are calling on these companies to cancel the contracts. I think the message that Amazon, where you're buying your cheap Chinese goods, and that they deliver them, and your books, and wherever, and they deliver them to your door, is actually supporting ICE. So this really does call upon both the company to divest, but those people who use those companies to know that their choices also support ICE. This is capitalism, people. Things that we buy are supporting things that we don't want. The people in this march are asking folks at home not to be complicit. And reminding people, they're trying to get the message out that ICE and CBP have unleashed, they've basically been unleashed by the Trump administration to escalate racial roundups of undocumented immigrants, and that they're racist. This group is saying, or this collection of group is saying, that it's our moral duty to refuse to be complicit with Trump's deportation machine at every level, and to demand that institutions that we're part of do the same. You can find out more on Twitter at #AbolishICE. But basically, this group is working to stand up to child detainment and stand up to tech support for racist deportations. Stand up against cruelty at the borders. This is the spokesman. This is the person that I can hear. They sent me back to.
Yeah.
Do you have a second, or are you? I'll be short. So we're here at the Abolish ICE movement. As you know, we've been following for a while. This is the band. Can you talk about the band and how important it is to have loud and awesome music here?
Oh, yes. So having art in social movements is just really powerful. It's really moving for people. And especially at street demonstrations like this, it really brings up the energy. It really brings the spirit. And that's why we're here. We're the Rude Mechanical Orchestra, and we work to support social justice movements and marginalized peoples.
This is wonderful, and it also drowns out those crazy protesters we see at every protest.
Definitely. More on that, I would say it's really great to be able to counter their hatred and all that terrible energy they bring with something uplifting and positive, but it also cancels them out. So it's a win-win.
It's fabulous. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks a lot.
Just so you know, I'm also an organizer with Science for the People. I think that's why they sent you to me, because I could speak more towards that as well.
We've been talking to some of the folks, so I don't want to take you away from the band. It's wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's great. Great interview.
Oh, act.tv. I'm familiar. Yeah, thank you.
watching Act TV's live coverage of the Abolish ICE movement. The chant is no hate, no wall, sanctuary for all. The march is moving now from Salesforce, which is a tech firm that provides software and tech support and services to Customs and Border Patrol, to Amazon, which has been selling facial recognition technology to ICE. That is scary. I'm thinking about sitting in front of my computer buying stuff on Amazon and I'm supporting ICE. I guess that's it for them. One of the marchers we spoke to, one of the organizers we spoke to, said that they are calling for people to boycott, but this is really an organizing of the workers at these corporations to pressure from the inside their organizations to not support things that they find abominable. Gonna hit them in the paycheck. This event is just one of many events across the country. An Abolish ICE National Day of Action was organized by several groups, including Science for the People, which is, it's an old group of scientists and people who love science and would like society based on science. You can find out more info about their group at scienceforthepeople.org. You're watching Act TV's live coverage of the Abolish ICE protest and rally and march here in New York City. There are actions going on across the country to undermine what ICE is trying to do and what they've been doing. We are here in front of Amazon Books. Amazon is where we are stopping because Amazon, as I've been saying, has been selling facial recognition technology to ICE called Recognition with a K. The march is no ban, no wall, sanctuary for all. And now, as you can see, the marchers, great sign, end fascism. That's the little kid who took that journalist to task for asking ridiculous questions about this movement. As you can see, the marchers are being kind of put in the marching pen, the free speech zone, as you will. I see pregnant women here, I see older adults, I see young people, I see white people, I see Latinos, I see African Americans, I see... They're complicit in what's happening down at the border. I have a DACA recipient and someone involved in the protest here. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on here?
Yeah, I'm a DACA recipient. I have been in the United States for over 15 years, and for years we have known that the NYPD is cooperating with ICE majorly through databases, which have to be developed by somebody, then they're actually being developed by ICE, by Amazon, by Salesforce, and by Microsoft. And so these are the databases that are allowing ICE to essentially retroactively check people's statuses coming out of different federal databases that are linked to the criminal justice system. And so essentially people who have committed a crime, even if they have already paid for it, or even if they have done time, or even if their cases have been sealed because of Trump's challenge to Obama-era protections, he's essentially using these databases and expanding them to be able to retroactively check people's statuses and target them actively for deportation. My younger brother is one of those people, and so even while Democrats and Republicans were assuring people that they were not cooperating with ICE, the very fact that they continue to develop this technology and use it is a way in which our mayors, Democrats, Republicans, have been complicit with ICE in the same way that these companies have.
I think that's really great. It's very educational. I don't think people exactly have drawn the lines between corporations, capitalism, and what's happening with ICE and what's happening at the border. Have you heard anything back from the different corporations? I know we're on our way to Amazon, we're in front of Salesforce, and you were at Microsoft right before that.
Yeah, so there's a really huge gap between what workers think about what's going on with ICE and what the companies are doing. So we know that workers at Microsoft and Salesforce and Amazon have all directed to their supervisors to try and end the contracts. And at least right now, Amazon has already come out and said that they are fully committed to cooperating with border enforcement and all enforcing agencies. And so I think that we're taking that at face value. We're taking that to mean that Amazon and other technologies, other technological companies and their moguls are making a clear line in the sand that they support ICE, that they support the prosecution and kidnapping of people and their loved ones, and that we are trying to mark that same line in the sand to say that we are not going to stand for it.
Are you calling for a boycott?
I'm calling for a boycott. We're calling for all workers to start applying pressure to join the pickets, and we're calling for all organizations to join Science for the People, to join any organization that's organizing against contracts with ICE in their communities.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
If people are watching at home, where would you like them to go get involved?
I know that Cosecha is building chapters nationwide. Science for the People just put out their first issue of their magazine, and they're organizing chapters everywhere. I know that the International Socialist Organization and DSA are also trying to organize in localities around ICE contracts and private detention centers. So anywhere where there is an ISO, a DSA, a Science for the People, a Cosecha branch, you should join one of those organizations because we're all cooperating to try and end the contracts.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're watching Act TV's live coverage of the abolition.
Se puede, sí, sí, se puede. Abolish ICE. 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 Se puede.
Technology to ICE and facial recognition technology that helps ICE take children
and separate families. That's right, folks. That's right, folks. The money that's being put into Amazon, is putting children in cages. And separating families. If you're currently shopping at Amazon, shame on you. Because that money, once again, is separating
Say it again. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Okay, go ahead.
So right now
anti-protest pen are the same people that show up over and over and over. It seems like
listen, my people, my condors, my eagles. No human being will ever be illegal. Listen, my people, my condors, my eagles. No human being will ever be illegal.
he basically attacked this young kid. I think the kid was probably 12, and I think the kid kind
people, my condors, my eagles. No human being can ever be illegal. Listen, my people, my condors, my eagles. No human being can ever be illegal.
Oh yeah.
So we are moving around to the front of the protest. There is an act of civil disobedience happening up front, and we're going to see if we can bring it to you live. They are, some of the protesters are sitting in front of the entrance to the store.
Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here!
As you can see, there's an act of civil disobedience going on here.
Refugees are welcome here!
Protesters are blocking the entrance and exit of Amazon Books, one of the groups that Amazon is.
Refugees are welcome here! Say loud, say clear! Refugees are welcome here! Say loud, say clear! Refugees are welcome here!
I'm somebody who's an immigrant.
Refugees are welcome here! Say loud, say clear! Refugees are welcome here! Say loud, say clear! Refugees are welcome here! Say loud, say clear! Refugees are welcome here!
You can hear the chant, say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here. And we're bringing you an act of civil disobedience here in New York City at the Abolish ICE action. You can see the organizers are working hard to get everyone who is not doing the civil disobedience in front of Amazon, both blocking the entrance and exit, to keep the people inside, the protesters inside of the protest pen. The protest chant is strong right now, loud and strong. The chant is say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here. If you just joined us, you're watching ACT.TV's live coverage of the Abolish ICE Day of Action. This particular action is focusing on tech companies who are supporting ICE with their work. They started at Microsoft, which has a $19.4 million contract with ICE. They moved to Salesforce, which is a company that provides software and tech services to Customs and Border Patrol. And now here we are in front of Amazon Books, in front of Amazon. Amazon is a company that's been selling facial recognition technology to ICE. There's going to be some speakers.
For the people. Thank you to everyone for being here today. Thank you for being the cosecha. Thank you to Rise and Resist. Thank you to the ISO. Thank you to Trump for co-sponsoring today. We marched from Microsoft to Salesforce. And now we're here at Amazon. All three companies
pretend to be big progressive companies.
But they all have contracts. With Trump's border enforcement agencies. The workers at these companies know that this is immoral and unethical. Hundreds of workers at each company have written and signed open letters asking for the executives to cancel the contracts. Amazon provides facial recognition technology. So ICE can detain migrants at the border. We stand with the Amazon workers. Who say that this is dead wrong. So thank you for being here. We're going to continue rallying. We're going to play some music. We're going to say that immigrants and refugees are welcome here. And Danielle from Science for the People and Rude Mechanical Orchestra is going to read the open letter that the Amazon workers wrote.
Right.
Don't give in to racist fear.
recent report from the ACLU exposing our company's practice of selling AWS recognition, a powerful facial recognition technology, to police departments and government agencies. We don't have to wait to find out how these technologies will be used. We already know that in the midst of historic militarization of police, renewed targeting of black activists, and the growth of a federal deportation force currently engaged in human rights abuses, this will be another powerful tool for their surveillance state and ultimately serve to harm the most marginalized. We are not alone in this view. Over 40 civil rights organizations signed an open letter in opposition to the governmental use of facial recognition, while over 150,000 individuals signed another petition delivered by the ACLU. We also know that Palantir runs on AWS, and we know that ICE relies on Palantir to power its detention and deportation programs. Along with much of the world, we watched in horror recently as U.S. authorities tore children away from their parents. Since April 19, 2018, the Department of Homeland Security has sent nearly 2,000 children to mass detention centers. This treatment goes against UN Refugee Agency guidelines that say children have the right to remain united with their parents, and that asylum seekers have a legal right to claim asylum. In the face of this immoral U.S. policy and the U.S.'s increasingly inhumane treatment of refugees and immigrants beyond the specific policy, we are deeply concerned that Amazon is implicated, providing infrastructure and services that enable ICE and DHS. Technology like ours is playing an increasingly critical role across many sectors of society. What is clear to us is that our development and sales practices have yet to acknowledge the obligation that comes with this. Focusing solely on shareholder value is a race to the bottom, and one that we will not participate in. We refuse to build the platform that powers ICE, and we refuse to contribute to tools that violate human rights. As ethically concerned Amazonians, we demand a choice in what we build and a say in how it is used. We learn from history, and we understand how IBM systems were employed in the 1940s to help Hitler. IBM did not take responsibility then, and by the time their role was understood, it was too late. We will not let that happen again. The time to act is now. We call on you to stop selling facial recognition services to law enforcement. Stop providing infrastructure to Palantir and any other Amazon partners who enable ICE. Implement strong transparency and accountability measures that include enumerating which law enforcement agencies and companies supporting law enforcement agencies are using Amazon services and how. Our company should not be in the surveillance business. We should not be in the policing business. We should not be in the business of supporting those who monitor and oppress marginalized populations. Sincerely, Amazonians.
Dignity and respect. For the 11 million undocumented immigrants. Living in the United States. Our name. Harvest. In Spanish. Honors the long tradition of farm worker organizing. And the present day pain of thousands of undocumented workers. Whose labor continues to feed the country. Committed to win real victories. For our community. Cosecha believes. In using non-corporation. be complacent?
Will you be complacent?
Will you be complacent?
We won't be complacent.
We won't be complacent.
Will you be complacent?
Will you be complacent?
Will you be complacent?
Will you be complacent?
We won't be complacent.
We won't be complacent.
We won't be complacent.
We won't be complacent.
Will you be complacent?
Will you be complacent?
Amazon, step open!
Amazon, step open! Amazon, step open!
Amazon, step open!
Immigrants are profit!
Immigrants are profit!
Amazon, step open!
Amazon, step open!
Immigrants are profit!
Immigrants are profit!
Amazon, step open! Immigrants are profit! Amazon, step open!
Immigrants are profit!
Immigrants are profit!
Immigrants are profit!
Amazon, step open!
Migrants over profit!
Shame, and also thank you to the people who are being taken away. The people who are sitting in front of Amazon Books blocking the entrance and exit are chanting, "This is my people, my condors, my eagles. No human being will ever be illegal."
Listen, my people, my condors, my eagles. No human being will ever be illegal.
As you can see, the police are taking away another protester. I gotta say, that looks kind of scary. He looks frightened.
Listen, my people, my condors, my eagles. No human being could ever be illegal. Listen, my people, my condors, my eagles. No human being could ever be illegal. Oye, mi gente, traemos la fuerza. La libertad es la única bandera. Oye, mi gente, traemos la fuerza. La libertad es la única bandera. Listen, my people, my condors, my eagles. No human being will ever be illegal.
You're watching act.tv's live coverage of the Abolish ICE National Day of Action, one of the actions here in New York City. There is an act of civil disobedience where some of our protesters, some of the movement's protesters, sat in front of Amazon Books blocking the entrance and exit. Amazon, of course, is a corporation that's being targeted by both its workers and other groups who are working to abolish ICE, because Amazon has very profitable contracts with ICE, including selling facial recognition technology to ICE. As you can see, the NYPD is both making sure that the media stays far enough away and is very calmly removing the very calm protesters.
No fear. Get ICE out of here. No hate. No fear. Get ICE out of here. No hate. No fear. Get ICE out of here. No hate. No fear. Get ICE out of here. No hate. No fear. Get ICE out of here. No hate. No fear. Get ICE out of here. No hate. No fear. Get ICE out of here. No hate.
The number of civil disobedience has shrank from, I believe, 6 now down to 2 as the NYPD cuffs and arrests, I believe is the proper word, to be charged with disorderly conduct. I just want to tell you that you can't see what just happened from here, but our own camerawoman, Rebecca, just crossed the police line to make sure she could really document what's happening. So I give her props. The police even asked her to move, and she said no.
No fear. Get ICE out of here. No hate. No fear.
the civil disobedience have dwindled from about 6 to 1 as the mostly women are being arrested. The group is chanting "No hate, no fear, get ICE out of here," and as the civil disobedience who are blocking Amazon books in protest of Amazon's enormous corporate profit from having contracts with ICE, they are chanting "Thank you" to those who are being arrested.
No fear! ICE out of here! No hate! No fear! Get ICE out of here! No hate! No fear! Get ICE!
If you want to find out more about what's going on here and how you can help, go to scienceforthepeople.org and sign the petitions. You can also
Get ICE out of here! No
share this feed.
Get ICE out of here! No hate! No fear!
Make a comment on this feed. I think it's really important that people who are putting their lives and bodies on the line are recognized for their work. I don't speak Spanish, but there's something about porqueria means pigs.
La misma porquería, la migra, la policía, la misma porquería.
Great chant.
It means the police, the immigration is the same shit.
Well, they just took some people right off the sidewalk.
He's trying to kick me out off of a public sidewalk.
You've been watching Act TV's live coverage of the Abolish ICE National Day of Action here in New York City. There are actions going on across the country. This particular group marched from tech company to tech firm, all of whom have contracts with ICE or Customs and Border Patrol, all of whom are making a lot of money by these deportations and all of the stuff that goes along with them. We have ended this protest and rally in front of Amazon Books. Amazon is selling facial recognition technology to ICE and making a lot of money. Workers at these corporations do not want to be organizing against their workplace, and this is all just really interesting from an economic perspective. You can find out more information at nobusinesswithice.com, also scienceforthepeople.org. I'm Juliana Forlano. We also saw an act of civil disobedience on the part of 6 of the protesters who sat in front of Amazon Books, blocking the exit and entrance until the police came and arrested them for disorderly conduct. Very brave. The NYPD is not necessarily known for their gentleness with protesters. Thanks for watching. Please make a comment under the stream wherever you're watching it. It helps bring this kind of messaging and the work from the street out to the people. So do your part and do that. Thanks for watching. We'll be back at the next one.